Hey guys, happy Friday. It's me, Mike. Wanted to make this video for you guys because my goal with my channel and with this email list is to continue to help you guys work towards achieving financial freedom through real estate. So I'll be sending out more videos like this with some tips, tricks, some deal analysis, just different pieces of content that I think you'll really benefit from if you're on that journey of trying to invest in real estate. So today I have something pretty exciting for you guys. I'm going to fully break down a deal that I was personally very interested in. It came across my plate this past week and I thought it was a really cool deal, something that I would buy if I was in the market to buy a property right this second. And I'm going to fully break it down for you guys, show you how to analyze the deal, what got me so excited about it, and hopefully give you some things that you can learn along the way and apply to your own investing journey. All right, so here is the property, and it probably doesn't look like much at first glance, but it is a duplex. You guys probably know that I love multifamily properties, plenty of different ways to invest, but I really like doing multifamily. And it's a side by side. So each side is 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. You can see there's a carport over here, carport over there. And this is the only picture. This is the only picture. Now, the first thing that stood out to me about this, number one, is I like the location. All right, I won't go super in depth on it, but Tucker is a suburb just outside of Atlanta, and it's a good area. It's growing right now. Downtown Tucker is very desirable, and this is walking distance to that downtown area, which is super cool. The other thing that stood out to me is the price. Most duplexes in these types of suburbs are going for like 400,000 all the way up to like 500, 550, depending on the condition that they're in. So when I saw this for $319,000, it really jumped out to me. And that's probably the first good takeaway that you guys can learn from this is know your market. Like know the market that you're investing in, analyze a lot of different deals because that's what's going to make you an expert on things like pricing and rents. So me knowing what the multifamily market looks like in Atlanta, when I see it, something like this pop up, I'm like, man, that's a really good price. That's going to get me interested. So I started taking a look into this. Again, this is the only picture. We can't really see much else. I ended up calling the agent to get a better idea of what condition the property is in. And it does need a good amount of work. Okay, this is going to be a fixer-upper, also known as value add. We're going to have to get in here and renovate this property, but that's not something that I'm afraid of. In fact, it's something that I actually look for because that's an opportunity for me to add value. All right, so that's about it as far as the property goes. Now we're going to analyze the numbers and see if it actually makes sense as an investment. All right, so running the numbers, there's a good chance you guys already have access to this spreadsheet. This is the exact same deal analyzer that I use. It's also the one that I give away for free. So if you're still looking on some information on how to use this thing, this is going to be a great watch. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I don't want to mess with this original template. I want to create a new version that I can play around with and not damage or mess anything up in the original version. So the way we do that is we go to File, make a copy, and then we're going to call this the address, which is 2173 Hanford Court. All right, so make a copy. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to start playing around in here to see what these numbers look like. So their asking price, it's like $319,100. I'm going to be honest, I usually use round numbers. Let's make it simple here. It's not going to change much. Now, if I was buying this as an investment property, I'm going to have to put 25% down. Okay, so we change that. Interest rate of 8% is probably around what I would be getting. So a lot of this stuff is already calculated. My down payment, the loan amount, all of that, even the mortgage payment. Okay. However, one other thing that is unique about this deal is we would be renovating it. Now, without going super in depth there, I'm estimating that the renovation is going to be about $50,000, going to be about $25,000 per unit. And that's because I've done these before. I own multiple other duplexes. We've done these renovations. We kind of know what that budget would look like. If it's your first deal, you might need to sit down and take more time going through each item. Do we have to do the floors? Do we have to do new paint? Do we have to do a new kitchen? And you can kind of price out what that might cost. But based on my experience, if I was buying this deal, I think we could get this done for about $50,000, maybe even come in a little bit under that. So this would be a pretty significant investment on this deal. I'd be looking at about $140,000 invested, but let's see if it's worth it. So the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out how much this property would rent for. So we're going to come over here to apartments.com. This is how I do my rent comps. This is how I figure out how much a property is going to rent for, is I just look at the market. I'm like, basically imagining, what if I was a tenant looking for a place to rent in Tucker? So we're going to go to apartments.com. We're going to search Tucker, Georgia. And you can see they're giving us some surrounding areas as well. This is more data than I even need. So I'm actually going to draw an outline here. And by the way, just to give some frame of reference, this is downtown Tucker, and our property is like right in this area. So it's very close to that downtown. And so when you're running the rent comps, you basically want to draw a circle around the property. Unless there's any major difference, like if you knew, for example, oh, Smoke Rise is very different from this area, maybe don't include that. But for the most part, you're usually going to be fine just kind of drawing a circle around your property. All right, so now we have about 10 similar rentals. I'm going to narrow it down even a bit further. I only want to see 2-bedroom rentals. Okay, so there's 3, which is actually not a lot of data. We might want to look at a bit more. All right, but just looking at a quick glimpse here, we can see there's some 2 bedrooms here starting at $1,870. These are $1,200 to $1,700. That's a really, really wide range. So I would click on this. A lot of times you'll find that they don't even have those available. So yeah, all these you have to call for availability. That also was including 1 bedrooms. So like their 1 bedrooms might start at $1,000, but the 2s are probably going to be closer to that 1,700 range. Again, I kind of know the area, so it's easier for me to estimate this. 1,300 to 1,625. So there's not a ton of data there. I'm going to zoom out a bit and say, all right, if we're just looking at 2 bedrooms, we can maybe look at some of these, look at some of these. Let's get a little bit more data here. All right, so looking at some of these batches, what else we got? $1,500, $1,200, $1,500, $1,500, $1,166. Again, like you're not going to see any 2 bedrooms for $1,100 in this area. That's just kind of a marketing technique. They're trying to get you to call and get more info. $1,600, $1,700, $1,900, $1,600, $1,300, $1,800. You can start to see like on the higher end, you can maybe get $2,000. Some of those look pretty swanky. Like this is a newer building. This has like a really nice pool and stuff. So you see it's on the higher end. And then the lower end might be that $1,200, $1,300 range. And then there's everything in the middle. So I usually take that middle number, right? If 1,600 is kind of like the middle of our range, that's a reasonable estimate, especially considering that for this particular deal, I'd be completely renovating it. So these would be brand new units. They would have brand new flooring, brand new kitchen cabinets, brand new countertops, brand new appliances. So it's going to look really good. We're going to have awesome photos. It's going to be a great listing. It's going to have really nice appeal to people. So I think based on that data, and because I know the area a bit, $1,600 a month per unit feels like a pretty conservative estimate. All right, so we're going to come back over here, and our monthly rent for the whole building is $3,200 because $1,600 per side. And then boom, we can see now what these numbers look like. So you can see, looking at the cash flow here, even after paying the bank, taxes, insurance, even budgeting for a property manager and some maintenance and CapEx, we're really budgeting for a lot here. We still have $439 of cash flow. Now, me personally, I'm going to self-manage this. I manage all my properties. It allows me to save money. It allows me to be more hands-on. And that's going to give us almost $700 a month of profit. That's profit. Like if we have a month, one thing I always like to look at is, well, what if we didn't have any vacancy and didn't have any repairs? If we had $3,200 coming in and our mortgage is $2,188, we're actually making $1,000 a month on the good months. But even factoring in some vacancy and some repair costs, we're estimating that our average profit is going to be $700 a month. That's really good in today's market, $8,000 a year. So coming over here, a couple things that I love about this. Number one is the cash flow, right? It is really hard to find a property that's going to cash flow that much. The only reason we're able to do that here is because of that $50,000 renovation. All right. So if you're willing to do value add, if you're willing to fix a property up, you can create a lot higher cash flow because you're getting the property at a discount and then adding value to it. And that's how we're able to get that. Number two, we're getting some solid loan pay down, getting some solid appreciation. Now, this is just based on a 4% appreciation rate. That's like my standard. and this is where the deal analysis sometimes goes a little bit outside of the spreadsheet, because this property is very close to downtown Tucker in a growing area. I think the appreciation would likely be a lot higher than that. But even with a basic assumption here, we're getting solid appreciation there. Now, the other thing that's not showing up here is that when we're renovating this property, like I said, we're adding a lot of value to it. So we could also say, all right, well, wait a second. What is this property going to be worth after fixing it up? Right? We call this ARV, after repair value. We're going to be in for 370, right? We're paying 320 with a loan, whatever, but we're buying it for 320. We're renovating it for 50K. So between those two things, we're all into this project for 370. Okay. We're into it for 370. But guess what? Renovated duplexes in that area are going for like 450, sometimes more, maybe even pushing 500. So we're also, outside of all these profits that we're estimating here, we're getting something called instant equity. All right, we're getting instant equity. If the property's worth 450 after we fix it up, and we're all into it for 370, that's another $80,000 of just instant equity. All right. Now, that's not recurring profit. That's not something you're going to get every year, right? These are yearly profits reoccurring, which is great. But this is more of like a one-time wealth booster, which is very valuable. That's growing your net worth. It's growing your equity. That's equity that you could possibly tap into in the future if you wanted to do a refinance. These are the types of things I look for. This is how I've been able to get significant chunks of net worth by doing things like that. So it's just another form of profit that, isn't even accounted for here, but is really, really sweet. So when we look at the final outcome, yes, we're investing a lot of money to buy this deal, but we're getting a pretty decent cash on cash return of 6%. So like you're already beating your high yield savings account, right? You're getting that 6% cash on cash return. And then when we look at the total return of 17%, that's really good. And then that doesn't even take into account the $80,000 of instant equity as well. So these types of numbers can be really hard to hit, especially that cash ROI. So in sum, the reason why I personally really loved this deal is there's opportunity to add value and build that instant equity. This is how you start really growing your net worth and growing your portfolio, is by adding value to properties. Number two is the cash flow. If you guys are out there analyzing deals, you know exactly what I'm talking about, that finding a deal that's even positive at all, $100 a month, is hard to find. So if there's a situation where we can get $700 of cash flow per month, that's super exciting to me. And then number three is the intangibles, the location of this property, the fact that Tucker is growing, the fact that this property is less than a mile away from downtown Tucker. It's also right next door to like a local pizza place and a brand new gym that they just built. So there's a lot of intangibles going on in that location and around the area. When I see all these different factors lining up, that's what gets me excited about a deal. And if I had $140,000 on hand ready to go right now, I'd be buying this property. It just wasn't the right timing for me personally. And that's where, investing is always personal. But these are the types of deals that I look for. So again, what the deals that make sense for you could look vastly different. You might be interested in Airbnb. You might be interested in single family homes. You might be interested in areas that are a lot more expensive or a lot less expensive. You might be interested in properties that are completely turnkey, or you might be willing to take on a project like this. There's no right or wrong. Every investing strategy can work, and it's really about what makes sense for you. But my hope was that by showing you this deal and breaking it down for you, that you could get a few tidbits and tricks out of that. So I hope that you guys found it helpful. Feel free to reply to this email and let me know what questions you guys have, what thoughts you had, if you had any ahas or revelations. I would love to hear from you guys, and I will personally respond and would love to check in and just see how your progress is going and what you guys got out of this. All right, that's all I got for this week. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll try to make more of these videos going forward so that you guys can get some value out of that.